What drew you to study NLP with us?
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. I find that the attraction to NLP, I feel just when I was younger, I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I remember doing a one-day course of NLP. And that was like my very first introduction to it. Then along my journey a few years ago, I had a mentor when I was overseas who was helping me develop a program when I was doing coaching for another business. And he practiced a lot of NLP. And he just inspired me with the way he spoke about the present state, the desired state, the map, change, all of these little things. And I'm like, wow, I love the way he's articulating, coaching and my program and how to structure it. And anyway, that sort of happened and went. And then in the current program, the business program I'm in with Brody Lee, again, it came up and I was introduced to both you, May, and Kylie Ryan. And I just thought, whoa, again, another example, a beautiful positive reference of how individuals are, honestly, I find modernizing NLP, because my first impression was like, oh, this is really kind of boring, drab, like intellectual stuff. And that's not me, right? I was just like, nah. But then associating NLP with that mentor of mine, with you, May, and Kylie Ryan, and her energy and the way that she articulates herself, I was like, oh, it got me really excited about it. So that's when I obviously started the program, and I challenged myself to approach it through a different lens. Mm-hmm. And that's how I've been able to actually implement it with my clients, because previously I would have thought I'm incompetent to run any process with a client. It feels weird for me. It doesn't feel like that I'm that kind of coach, that was the belief system I had.
Oh, what I love about you is literally I will have taught a process on Wednesday night, and then like by Friday, Sarah's in our Facebook group sharing a client win where she's like literally just done the process she's learned 24 hours before with a client and sharing some incredible results.
I know, right? I have to throw myself in and do it. That really works well for me when I'm learning things. I can listen and practice in our integration session. But to me, it's that moment when I plunge into the water and I just go for it. And I remember one of those examples where I did that like the next day in the morning, and I had a moment, right, that fear in my chest. And I went, am I going to do it? This is a perfect moment to do the thing that's in my mind right now. And so that was my breakthrough, like, or my transition, I find, from, learning the knowledge and implementing it, the real change for me. And then that, the self-belief can start to grow. And, you might be a little bumpy, which, or shaky, which I still am. I would still say I'm very new to this whole space, but I'm just approaching it like a kid, I just want to go for it, and then I'll refine it. And one of the biggest breakthroughs was, I can't remember what session it was, but just letting your client know that you're going to try something different. It's not the normal. It's not something that we usually do, but should we give it a go? And like including them in the experimental process. And since adopting that attitude, I've noticed that I can more freely test things without judgment of myself and without judgment from my client. And it just feels a lot more relaxed.
Love it. And, the thing is that our clients don't know what they don't know, right? About how the process is supposed to go, what's supposed to happen, not happen, etc. So literally you could kind of do it 50% and still get an amazing result. Like, these processes have been fine-tuned and fine-tuned and fine-tuned. So I love that you are this living, you're this living example of taking something from the intellectual knowledge realm into the embodiment realm, which is the big thing that Kylie and I really focus on and reinforce. Is it's not an intellectual, game.
And you know what? There's a beautiful parallel there, because dating, relationships, it is not an intellectual game. Yeah. And my goodness, my clients are the smartest men I've ever met in my life, more intellectually switched on than myself. And I learned so much from them. But when it comes to that embodiment realm, that is where they do hit the most resistance and the most fear. and they really realize the gap between their knowledge and their implementation. So that's a really big focus for me as a coach as well.
Yeah.